Hello and welcome back. So today we're taking a look at Mech Warrior Online. I'm giving you guys a bit of a tutorial of how this game runs and operates. Now first of all, this is a free to play game, and so I highly recommend you guys try it out. Now, really let's go over the UI at first, because before I really get into the mechs and the weapons and everything else, it's kind of good to understand, well, what does everything mean. So basically you have your select mech category where you can kind of choose all your different mechs and all your different things and whatnot, but that we'll get to a little bit later. You click back to go back to. This is kind of your home screen, really, at the beginning. It's kind of where you log into. You see like your name and your pilot skill and your clan and your all that, and this mech that you last had on, whatever, that's for later. Anyways, you go to your inventory. Remember that shows all your battle mechs, you got all your different guns. You can sort things also. You got all of your equipment, your modules, omnipods, which I'll get to later. Achievements and statistics, that brings you to a web browser. Redeem codes, you got your titles and badges which you can use and stuff like that. Testing grounds, which is basically you can pick a mech, you can pick a map, you can go check out the map, check out the mech. Basically just a testing area. Then you got your tutorials, which I highly recommend people do if you're new to the game. Now you got the current battle mech, which is showing the XP on it. You use XP on mechs to get unlocks on mechs, little buffs like 10% bonus here and there, 15% bonus here and there, things like that, which I'll explain later. Then you got your MC credits, which are basically the bot credits with money. You got your regular credits. Then you got your general experience, which you guys can probably already figure out how that kind of goes. Then, at the top, you got your home, which is this. You got your mech lab, which really brings you into how to really... It just brings you straight to kind of this area, and also your loadout area, which you can just loadouts for mechs, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later. Then you got your skills category, which a lot of people actually do forget. It's something that a lot of people really don't look at too often, which kind of surprises me. The skills basically for mechs, to give you guys an idea before we really get into this too far, is when you play mechs, you unlock skills for that mech, which you can use the points to unlock bonuses. So for instance, on my Jaeger mech I'm currently looking at, I have about 6,000 experience on it. So if I want to, I can unlock fast fire, weapon cooldown rate increased by 5%, so reload decrease. So there's a lot of these, and you kind of unlock these to get the elite category. Then once you unlock 3 of the same class, you go to the master category, which unlocks a mech module slot, which is something we'll talk about after. Skills is something that a lot of new guys don't look into, which is actually quite important. But anyways, let's kind of get into what this game is really all about, which really are the mechs. So first of all, you have different classes. Lights, mediums, heavies, and assault class. Now these are all defined by their weight class, which is their tonnage. So if we actually look into, let's see, if I go show... Both, they also show trial mechs in the game, which is something I really want to point out. Is, in the game, there's quite a large sum of mechs that you can try out. At any time, you still earn cash, you still earn experience on them. But they're exactly what they are, they're trial mechs. They come in and out of the game, they come and go. And you don't know how long they're really going to be around for, they kind of switch them around, but it's a really great way to check out a lot of different mechs. Now, basically, light mechs top out around 35 tons. You got mediums that run from there up to, I think, about 55 tons. 55, 60 tons, I think, is the limit for that. Let me double check. Yeah, it's 55 tons. And then you got the heavies, which max out, I think, 75 or 85. I think 75 tons. And then you got your assault mechs, like the infamous Atlas, that's 100 tons. You got the Dire Wolf, 100 tons. King Crab, 100 tons. Executioner, 95 tons. Here's something to consider. Just like in everything else, you are trading something for that tonnage. You're trading armor. So things like the Atlas are notorious for having ridiculous amounts of armor. I mean, that thing's basically a walking bunker. They can carry a lot more weapons, but they're a hell of a lot slower. To give you an idea of how slow, basically one of the slowest mechs in the game, the Dire Wolf, can go 48.6 kilometers forward. And I think it's meters per second. Actually, I kind of doubt that. I don't know. I think it's meters per second or kilometers per hour or something like that. 48.6 forward and 32.3 backward. Well, light mechs can do... Well, that one goes 120. I know, I've seen that one goes 130, almost 140. That one goes 136. So you get the point. There's a massive range of speed and maneuverability within all these mechs. Now, these are all the trial mechs. I really encourage that if you guys are new to this game, Go in and try out all the trial mechs. Just have fun. You don't have to worry about stats or how well you do or yada yada. Just learn. Now, when you buy your own, this is something you get into the game. Once you try the trial mechs enough, they give you a substantial amount of credits. Once you trial the trial mechs that unlock things, you get 20, you get like 12 million credits or 20 million credits. Enough to buy a decent amount of mechs. So for instance, if I were to go to where I would go to buy all of my mechs. So for instance, if I go to, well, that's not special. The Mech Lab. Select up. Okay, I'll admit with you guys right now, this is something to be done live. They don't make everything all that easy in this game. Oh, it's something I need to mention also. You can customize your cockpit. Fun little fact. You can hang stuff on them and put like holiday lights, and you can put stuff that's just fun on them. It's kind of an interesting little aspect of the game. It's a way to customize, you know, your mechs and whatnot. It's kind of entertaining. I have a couple little statues. I already know there's a classy mech. That's cool. But mind you, these things are kind of expensive. So, I mean, yeah, they're kind of cool, but they're also a little expensive. No. All changes will be lost. Yep. Okay. So anyways, let's go back in. Let me go to that. Expand all. Oh, that's cool. It's an invert option. That's pretty neat. So if you want to look at that, that's cool. I didn't even realize that. Well, guys, I think I'm being defeated right now. Because, well, I'm supposed to give you guys a thing on how this all works. And, well, quite frankly, okay, PGI, this is something I gotta admit. You guys made it really weird to try and buy mechs. It's kind of that simple. It's difficult. And this is killing me. The pilot tree stuff, which unlocks other stuff. Oh my lord. Yeah, PGI, I think you have defeated me. So desperate, I'm even going into store, bundles, mech bay, battle mechs. Oh my god, is that how you get to it? We found it. Okay. Yeah, by the way, guys, it used to be very different. So people that say they don't understand how the system works, I can see why. So let's go to class. Let's go to descending. Okay. So to give you an idea, the cost is different between things like heavy mechs and light mechs. The cost is quite different, actually. Look at something like a light mech, like a spider. I love the spider, guys. I gotta be honest with you. Big fan of the spider. They're around 2 million credits. Now, consider this. I'll go into later how you actually operate mechs and whatnot, how you adjust them, but all the way up to things that are expensive, like these heavy mechs. Some of them you could buy for like 11 million credits or 6 million. Now, you're probably wondering why there's several variants of, well, the same freaking mech. Well, my response is, there's different things you can do with them. And that's kind of the other point of this game. Why this game is actually very interesting, really. It's the fact that there's so many things you can do with them. There's so many ways of building mechs. And that's kind of what this is all about. This is not necessarily buy the best mech and you win. It's not like World of Tanks or War Thunder or whatever. You get the top tier jet or the top tier tank or whatever it is, and you basically on the battlefield. Not in this game. Buying it is half the battle. Finding out what loadout to put on it is quite different. Now, getting into that, I want to talk about basically Battletech and kind of how this is set up right now. Well, you're in the point of the game where essentially it's right now between, you got two clans, basically two groups. You have the Inner Sphere and Clan Mechs. And they operate very differently, and they have a little bit different stats, let's just say. You have things like Clan Mechs. Now, when you're selecting a mech, you go to the Select Mech screen, and then you go to Loadout to adjust the loadout of a mech. Now, when you look at this, You have your right arm, right torso, head, left arm, left leg, right leg, and you got your center torso. Now, the reason I'm saying this is something quite different. Clan mechs have the unique ability of having what's called omnipods, where you can replace the entire arm with another set. Now, all these numbers show what kind of weapons you can have. So, for instance, all the weapons in the game you can choose from. Let me go to a mech where I can choose a crap ton of different weapons. Where is my A? Yes. Prime example. You have ballistics, energy, and missile. Now, this is pretty simple. With ballistics, you have weapons like AC-2s that fire very quickly. They have very fast range. You can left click on it and you can look at all the stats on the gun. So you notice it takes up a certain amount of tonnage, takes up a certain amount of slots. Slots is obviously the size of it, whereas the tonnage is the weight. The amount of damage it does, the amount of heat. Remember, you guys have to worry about heat with weapons, your range, your maximum range. And when you look at the graph, your damage goes down with range, something to consider. Projectile speed. And the quirks are something that are specific to each mech, meaning every mech can use some weapons more effectively, so they get little perks. So, for instance, with this thing, it gets 20% range, 35% velocity, and 5% cooldown. That's actually pretty damn good. But you can look at the stats of all these weapons. You get the trade-off of tonnage and slots for the damage. So, for instance, you got something like a Gauss rifle, 15 tons, 7 slots, ridiculous range, ridiculous projectile speed, and does a lot of damage. But you have the one catch of it weighs a lot. It takes up a lot of slots. Now, you also have to put in ammo for ballistics. That's the catch. So, that also takes up more tonnage. To give you an idea, for AC-5... 1 ton is 30 shots, so that's why heavy mechs and stuff like that and assault mechs are so damn heavy, because they can have a lot of ammo and a lot of armor. Now you got energy, which produce a lot more heat, but you have the catch of they can keep firing, they don't require ammo. So you got small, medium, large, you got regular lasers compared to pulse, pretty simple. Pulse does more damage, but it is at closer range. Then you got missiles. SRMs are short-range missiles. Streaks, which fires tracking missiles that will hit their target as long as nothing blocks away. They have LRMs, long-range missiles, and they have something called a NARC, which basically it just helps with missile lock on them. Then you have an AMS, which is an automated missile system. It's kind of like an anti-missile defense system. It destroys missiles. I'm trying to hit you. But anyways, that's all the different types of weapons, and the reason I say this is you can load multiple different types, but here's the catch. Notice, ballistic hardpoints are at 0. If I pull off an Ultra AC-5, it's at 1. So basically what you do is you build these mechs according to what they can hold, and you have to look at your tonnage. That's kind of how it goes on a basic, except there's one other thing. Notice, I can change the amount of armor, which changes the amount of tonnage. You have to look at, are you going to be a frontline mech, or are you going to be in the back? Generally, I would say you're looking for a balance. You also have to consider. Here's the other fun part. You got to put an engine in this thing, and you got a plethora of engine to choose from. Here's how the two differ. Standard engines and XL. Standard engine, quite frankly, the difference being it weighs more, but you can have a torso completely removed and you will not die. Second torso, you're gone. XL, if you have a torso removed, you're done. But the catch is with the XL, an XL 315 is 18 tons, whereas in standard 315 is 28 tons. So you're saving over 10 tons by using the XL, but you're taking that risk. That's why typically how it works is most light and medium mechs use XL engines. Heavy mechs can kind of go either way. I usually almost use XL engines. And usually assault mechs, you're taking the risk by using the XL, but you have a lot of armor, so you can kind of take the risk. If you have a torso removed, it's kind of a weird thing. There's a lot of debate about that. But essentially, let's say in this, if I go to on top, you clicked owned engines. I own just a couple standard engines laying around. I'll be honest, guys, I know how to play the game well. I just don't have a lot of time to play this game that often. But anyways, so let's look at the upgrades over here. So you have upgrades for things like armor, where what happens is with ferrofibers, as you can read, 12% protection per ton, occupies 14 critical slots, but weighs less. So if you want to save, if you look at the difference there, You get rid of 1.39 tons, but it takes up 14 slots. Now, you have slots, which essentially is the amount of space that each one of these can hold. So notice if I switch to this armor, all of a sudden everything's taken up by armor slots. I'm not using massive guns that take up a ton of space. Like, for instance, if I were to put in a Gauss rifle, that takes up a crap ton of slots. So, since I don't have to worry about that, I can use that and save the ton and maybe load more ammo. Things like the structure for endosteel. Actually, same thing. You end up saving a lot of tonnage. Now, here's the catch, though. It costs money. It's not necessarily cheap. Cost per ton, 10,000. It's 65 tons. You get the point. Now, same thing with missile guidance. You can add an Artemis system, which, if you read down there, it basically helps if you're using what's called an LRM boat, long-range missile boat. I actually have a mech. This guy. Oh, yeah. This guy, which runs basically all LRMs, LRM 15, which means you can launch 15 missiles in that salvo, and this is an LRM 20. And I have a couple SRM 4 short-range missiles, so just a little bit of self-defense. But essentially, that thing can launch 35 missiles at you at once. And look at the damage. Each missile does 1 damage. Now consider this. Each missile does 1 damage. If you look at the amount of armor on some of these, for instance, my missiles do 35 damage each. Well, not 35 damage for the whole if they all launch. Well, on my Jaeger mech that I have, that's kind of meant for frontline, my head itself only has 18. My torsos have 44. So my legs have 60. So if you end up getting a good hit with those LRM boats, now mind you, they usually spread, but if you can get some good hits on them, they can do crazy amounts of damage. And that's kind of why a lot of people like LRMs. But, so you basically have different ways of doing it in this game. In terms of weapons, you can either do a system where you set up to do one thing. For instance, like my Jaeger mech here, my Firebrand. I run a PPC, it's a particle projection cannon or a particle projector cannon, something like that. But essentially it's like a cannon kind of thing. Then I have 3 ER large lasers or extended range. And this thing just does energy, that's all it does. That's what it does. It moves fast for its tonnage. It just tries to either could stay at range or stay up close and just kind of eat away at you. Or if something like this, which is kind of a Shadow Hawk, which I have an LB-10, which is a shotgun that launches 10 rounds that each do 1 damage, an ER laser, and dual LRM-5s, which means I'm launching 10 missiles. So you can kind of go any way with this game, but here's the catch. It's all about what your hard points allow. If you look at the top right-hand side of this little window that pops out, shows I have 3 ballistic, 1 energy, and 3 missile. That's what I got to work with. That's the thing about mechs in this game, is if you're part of if you use the inner sphere stuff, like these guys, you can't move around omnipods, whereas this guy can. And I want to go back to that. I can get an omnipod that has different kinds of weapons. So this one has 2 ballistic, 1 energy, 0 missile. Or I can get one that's 2 ballistic and 1 missile, or 2 energy, and has kind of other stuff on it, other ECM and whatnot. So that's the clan stuff. The clans can use omnipods, which really do kind of help, because you can basically design your mech to whatever you need. But the catch is it loses a little bit of those bonuses, those quirks. So what I need to do, sorry about switching menus there, is when you look at a mech, look on the right-hand side in the green. Those are all the quirks. And some of them are pretty significant. Ballistic cooldown, 25% on the Shadowhawk SHD-2H. Missile velocity, 10%. If I go to something like this guy, which I run quad AC5s on, ballistic velocity, 20%, ballistic cooldown, 15%. That's why I run quad AC5s on this thing. Yeah, I love this thing. This thing's nuts. Or for instance, that's why I run on my catapult. Yeah, this thing's crazy, this Jester. That's why I run 5 large lasers on it, because energy range 15%, energy heat generation down 10%, and laser duration down 10%. If you notice in the green area, where it's like around here, it's in the bottom half of that. So, this is kind of supposed to be a bit of an overview for new members. Now, new people playing. Now, my response would be this. If you're just playing this game, go to your trial mech category, try out something you like the look of. Really, it's kind of, or you like the fact that it's speed, it has good speed or whatever. If you like it, you like it. Just try it out. Like, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm actually going to do this live, because there's some mechs in here I have not tried. So I want to show you some things, guys, in game that I think you guys are gonna want to know. This Timberwolf, now when looking at it, if you look at just above where the quirks are, it has some negative quirks. It has 2 clan large pulse lasers, 3 clan ER mid lasers, and 1 computer. Let's run something a little bit more fun. What does the Raven here got? 2 ER large, 1 Guardian. Arctic Cheetah have 1 clan ECM, 6 small laser. Ooh, that sounds fun. Alright, let's get now. Also, it's kind of cool. If you look at the matchmaking stats, you notice the percentages. Lower percentage, the better you are to get into a game. Not many people run lights, so I'm going to run a light. So now we're going to get in queue. Now here's your first game. Now, this is something very new. You can actually vote. Everybody's voting for Assault. I don't like Forest Colony, but it's better than the rest of them. Yeah, I gotta vote Forest Colony. I don't like Terra Therma that much. It's a volcanic map. It's really hot. Caustic Valley is kind of nice, but I'll stick with this one. So, alright, here we are. Forest Colony on Assault. I really like this new mode, by the way, PGI. Congrats for that. So here we are. We're going to get into battle. Just waiting for the drop. There we go. Loading up Forest Colony. Here we go. Quick little fun fact for anybody that's new to this game. CryEngine is pretty demanding. So if you have a low-end PC, set all your graphics settings in the beginning to low. Set everything to low and then work your way up. Even though I have a really high-end system, it still can lag me down a little bit here and there. Click the ready up over there. Alright, capture the enemy base, destroy enemy mechs, timeout with most kills. So notice on this ambient temperature 30°C, it's good to know that. Surface gravity and surface water. The reason to know that is this. Your gravity affects your jump jets. That's something I wanted to introduce there. And your ambient temperature, something good to know, simply because, remember I said energy weapons create heat? Well, that heat dissipation is a factor. So when using energy weapons, you have to check the temperature. There's some really cold maps that you can run them a little bit more, or some really hot maps you can't run them as much. Heat in this game is something, if you overheat, it will destroy your mech. There we go.
Reactor online.
Alright, so you notice
Sensors online. Weapons online.
we're dropping in,
All systems.
and then
online.
you notice the right hand side of the screen. Oh, here we go. I kind of want to drop in for a second. So you drop in for the first time, you're wondering what the hell's going on. Alright, this other guy's just shocking. Alright, so essentially, you use... dude, shut up. I don't want to hear this random guy mumbling. But anyways. So use WASD to move around. Actually, on your numpad, if you press 0, it's kind of like a permanent forward. But if you use your arrow keys, you can adjust that. Now, that's really key. That is your weapon bindings. You notice it displays information about the weapon. Displays the meters that's effective, the amount of ammo over on the right-hand side where the infinite thing is. And it shows you which button it's bound to. So if you have a multiple button mouse, I can bind this to 2 and this to 3. Now how you do that's very simple. You use your arrow key and that control that's right next to your arrow keys, basically like your standard arrow keys. So when I press my mountain bus 1, mountain bus, oh my god, mountain bus. Guys, I can't speak today. Mouse button. No, we don't. Mouse button 1, it's that. Mouse button 2, it's that. And mouse button 3, it's that. So, when I see someone, yeah, they're not be happy. There's also jump jets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit F3. You can look in third person. Yes, jump jets are a thing. You press middle mouse button to zoom. And if you have the advanced zoom module, which is something we'll go back in and look at, it'd be the V key. But anyways, let's get into some gameplay here. Hold down Q to look at all the names and everything. If you want to chain fire your weapons, use your arrows to move over to whatever thing and select and hit backspace. And it will chain fire, which means it fires one after the other. Now, if you look at my small lasers have a 205 meter range. That's optimal range.
Target
So
acquired.
he's 800 meters out. There's no way I can do anything to him. But I don't know if he sees me or not. Something to consider. I'm in a light mech. I'm not the kind of guy to do damage yet. It's really similar to things like War Thunder, World of Tanks.
Look like they're defending.
New target
The
acquired.
same principles do apply.
Good art, though.
I want to see if I can go to settings.
The low
Game.
percent, but still stay in a group.
I'm going to keep it that way. You press
New
R to
target
select targets.
acquired.
And if you notice, actually, if I select a target, look on the top right-hand side. It says what weapons he has, the type of mech, and what damage he has
New
on what
target
parts.
Acquired.
So his CT, his center torso, is damaged on that Marauder.
They got to come back, man. Gonna get queued up.
If you guys have to stop and rewind that, you guys
New
can.
Target acquired.
Probably a good idea.
New target acquired.
We have any missile boats?
Yeah, we have some missile boats. ECM, please.
Get those missiles up, baby.
Jump jets is with the space bar, and it's usually good to use that. Now, if you look at the bottom left hand of the screen, that is essentially my status as a mech. I have a tiny bit of damage on my legs, but that's fine. That's going to happen from me jumping down. I'm going to bind all these to 4. I want to egg this guy on.
Target acquired.
I have no clue what mech that is, so... Oh! Took a big hit there.
Yeah, guys, look on them right there.
Something to consider is the rate of which your mech can twist its torso, and how high or low the gun elevation and depression is for the arms. The torso of which it can move is another factor. Missiles. Crap, crap, crap. Get the hell out of there. Oh, shit.
There's a whole group of them. You know, that little
Use your jump jets to get the hell out of Dodge. Oh. Yeah, that's me being a little bit risky at a mech that I haven't really had any practice in. So I think you guys get the point, though, so far.
I-8 and I-9.
You look freely around by holding down the control on the left-hand side. Control button.
New target acquired.
Notice my heat generator on the left-hand side down below the map. On the, sorry, to the right side of the map. It's a heat generation. Now, something to consider. If you go to 100% and or over, you'll enter like a cooldown phase. It lasts about, I think, like 5 or 10 seconds, sometimes 15 seconds, depending on by what amount you overheat.
Target destroyed.
There we go. But something to consider is the fact that while you're shut down, you can't really do anything.
Target acquired. New target
Yeah, that's a
acquired.
Raven. I don't want to be hit by him. Now, the job of a light mech isn't really to do a lot of damage, but...
Target destroyed. Target acquired. Heat Fleet level critical. Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
So let's gonna grab that Centurion.
New target acquired.
So we're at the end of the game.
Target
Oh,
destroyed.
we won. So took a bit of damage, ended up surviving.
I did not have that.
So wasn't bad.
Excellent game, boys. Yeah, good game there.
274 damage, 100,000 C-bills. Not bad at all. Something to consider with a lot of these trial mechs, you earn decent credits. It's not a bad way to get yourself started with the game, and especially I recommend before you even buy anything, before you buy any premiums or anything, get some game time in. Now, this is where I really... Yes, I know. I want to select one that I own. One of my mechs, my Firebrand. Now, if you go to equipment, where is it? It's modules. There we go. Modules is something else in this game. You can have weapon modules, in which help your cooldown and things like that. Mech modules, which everything from advanced zoom to you can get in consumables in this game, which is something interesting. You have artillery strikes. You have cool shot, which adds 9 heat per second for 1 second cooling to your mech's cooling efficiency. UAVs, things like that. You can call in airstrikes, artillery strikes, advanced UAVs. You can call in these other consumables that I didn't really show because I never really use them, to be honest. Kind of bad, but you have a lot of different modules that look at that 10% on climbing up hills. Allows retention of target information when the enemy moves behind piloted mech, 200 meter range. Here's the one little catch. Going to the skills tree. When our pilot trees, you got to research those. And that takes a little bit. But here's the other thing that's awesome about these trees. You can unlock stats for weapons. Ultra AC5 cooldown. Cooldown timer of the inner sphere AC5 by 2.4%. But that's GXP. Now, you earn general experience for playing. I have 9,000. So, I could unlock it all the way up to level 5 if I wanted to, increase my cooldown. But those are for a lot of different weapons. Now, I think there's 1 or 2 weapons here that I already have. Yes, there it is. Large laser range. Range of the inner sphere laser by 10%. I have stuff like that already done for some weapons. For the reason being that it helps you. There's the funny thing about this when you consider this. If I had AC5 range of 2%, this is something I actually do want to do. AC5 range, is there anything for damage or is it all just range? It's cooldown. LRM cooldown? Yeah, check that out. You got more cooldown. Range cooldown. So you can get the range and cooldown, not really damage. But the point is range can help, but I think cooldown is far better because that's obviously your reload. So something you need to consider is if you're using mechs like I do, I use a lot of large lasers and I use a lot of AC5s. AC5s are probably my favorite. So I probably do AC5 range. I don't know if I can do AC5 cooldown. AC2 range? AC10 range? I don't know if I can do cooldown. Something I'll check right now. LRM cooldown. Wow, I don't... Oh, AC5 cooldown. There we go. So, cooldown by 2.4%. 4.8%. 7.2%. Now, this is a passive ability also. This is going to be something that I unlocked it to. So that's a 12% cooldown rate increase on all inner sphere AC5s. Now, that's actually quite impressive considering that's the 12% that stacks onto quirks on mechs. So, finally, one thing I want to talk about is really, well, kind of the game itself. I want to talk about the community because to someone new coming into this game, I will say this. It's actually a very positive community. There aren't many people that are toxic. It's not like World of Tanks and War Thunder that's flooded with people that just kind of want to do their thing and screw everybody else. It's a very dedicated community. And it's kind of a small game. It's not the big profit games. It's not the games that brings in a ton of money. But the people that dedicated, they're pretty protective of it. And it's honestly a really great game if you want to get something to kind of relax with. This game, I like. It's unlike World of Tanks. It doesn't throw stats in your face. Granted, at the end of that last game, it does, but I'm talking about like in regular stuff and stuff like that. You can just have fun and get through this game and have a good time. And really, it's not that hard to do very well in this game. You just got to get some seat time. It's not like World of Tanks. I will say World of Tanks takes a few thousand games to get good in. Whereas I've probably played a couple thousand games in this, and really, on things like this, on my special ability, I can average 600-700 damage. Which, to give you an idea, my total armor is like 422, and that's actually a very good trade in this game. If you can do more damage than your HP, that's pretty damn good. Now, HP, even though it's not really there, I can technically consider armor, but even that's somewhat hard to do, considering you'll kill someone without doing 370 damage. If I were to critical your CT, your center torso, in your cockpit, I can kill you for doing 100 damage or 50 damage. So, something to consider, that damage in this game is somewhat subjective if you get the kill. So, with that being said, here's something that I want to propose to everybody. Down in the comments below, let me know if there's a video you guys want me to do, maybe a tutorial on some sort of game, some sort of information. You want to see more detailed stuff for this, whether it be World of Tanks, War Thunder, Armored Warfare, any of the games that you guys know that I play. If you have any questions, just leave it down below. I really appreciate it, because quite frankly, I've covered a lot of stuff in World of Tanks, I've covered some stuff in War Thunder, but really, I want to hear, what do you guys want? So, thank you all for watching. Like, comment down below, let me know what you think, and I shall catch you next time.